What's good, High Noon family? If you are a young brother or sister, guy or gal, that is trying to figure out what is this whole life purpose, life mission thing that we're talking about, what's the purpose of your life and what is your mission in your life? And maybe you've been struggling or stressed out because you're trying to figure out, where do I go from here? What do I do? Where do I pursue? What path do I go down? If that's you, then this video is just for you. And I'm speaking this from a heart of understanding, compassion, because I have been through all this. I have gone on everywhere you can imagine to figure out my mission in life, and I have gone down every route you can imagine, and I am 95%, I would say, convicted and confident that I know my purpose in my life and my mission. So first of all, let's distinguish purpose and mission. All right, I think this is helpful. Purpose is, why do you exist? Why does your life exist? Okay. Mission is, for what does your life exist? For what is your life for? So one is a why element and one is a what element. And I think that's helpful, right? So am I going to sit here and tell you what the purpose of your life is and what the mission of your life is? Maybe. Actually, I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. Take this as you will, guys. But your purpose of your life is actually quite simple. You don't have to overcomplicate it. And let me preface this, by the way, by saying the reason I'm making this particular video is because I talk almost daily with people that are in our programs on High Noon who are struggling with ideas and concepts about what to do with life, where to move forward. And oftentimes I find when I ask them questions is that people are paralyzed. Y'all are paralyzed by overanalyzing things and thinking about your life as some grand scheme that is being unfolded for you by the universe, by the divinity of God, and you have to somehow miraculously sift through a sand ocean of information to figure out what your mission is actually not that complicated, right? The purpose of your life is to grow through experiencing God's love, and the fastest, most effective way to grow is through relationships. That is the purpose. And if you think, well, if something goes on in your head and says, well, my purpose of my life has to be unique, it has to be special. Okay, that's fine. That's where the mission comes in, right? Hold on for a second. Why does the purpose of your life have to be unique? Why can it be that humans are designed to have a singular focus as our purpose of why we're here? The purpose of my life is to experience growth, to experience God's full heart, to expand the capacity for me to love through experiencing relationships with my spouse, with my children, as a child, as a husband, and as a father. That is it. It's really quite simple. True Father has often talked about this concept of, if you are born for the sake of a woman, to meet a woman. If you're born for the sake to meet a man if you're a woman, all right? And that is the purpose. It's through these relationships, it's through the grinding, it's through the butting heads, it's through the rubbing up against each other that we become like diamonds and we experience growth. And ultimately, my friends, we experience the ability to expand our ability to love to the point where we experience God. And that's it. That's it. That's the purpose. And in the context of our faith, being that the air we breathe in spirit world and the thing that we bring with us, the only thing we actually bring with us to spirit world, is the love that we experience here on this earth. And if that is the case, if that is the premise, the context of our entire faith, then it's through experiencing love that we fulfill the purpose of our lives, isn't it? So let's go to mission. Mission is an interesting thing because depending on how you look at it, some people view mission as a thing that is bestowed upon you by God, by ancestors, by whatever angelic spirit. You hear accounts of people having near-death experiences. And if you actually read or watch some of these accounts, it's really quite interesting. Because many people that have near-death experiences often meet some kind of spiritual element, like an angel or a spirit, that implores them, almost begs them to go back to Earth to fulfill a specific mission. I've heard accounts from people I know that have had, visited spiritualists in our movement, outside our movement, and the spiritualists have told them that you have a specific mission. And it's very specific usually, right? And so assuming that you don't have the ability to see spiritual world and receive spiritual revelations about what your specific mission is, how is this information helpful? Well, I'll tell you how it's not helpful is to get pigeonholed and boxed in and feel stifled and stagnant and paralyzed because we're afraid to move forward. And this is why I'm making this content, guys, is because ultimately what I do know as fact is that our mission is unraveled over time. It's discovered, uncovered over time. And it is actually reasonable to assume that the mission itself, if that's what you believe, the mission itself, which I believe that we do have missions, individual missions, is unraveled over time. It's discovered. And so in that sense, it's unreasonable to assume that from the very beginning of your life, 20s, 30s even, that you would know exactly what your mission is. And this is what I tell guys that I talk to and I mentor here in High Noon. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life. I'm like, you're 22 years old. It would actually be unreasonable to assume that at 22 years old, you know exactly what your mission is like. That would actually be a little scared. I would be a little concerned, honestly. We have to pause and realize that it's a reasonable assumption that as young men and women, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s even, we don't have an exact picture of what our mission is. And that, in fact, it can be uncovered and discovered over time. And that only happens when we take action towards going in the directionally correct direction. Taking a step and saying, I have a hypothesis that maybe this is the direction where my mission is. Maybe it's going in this direction. And we're afraid to take steps because we're afraid of going in the wrong direction. But the reality of life is that you will never go in the wrong direction. You will go in the directionally correct direction, and you can always course correct as you go, and that is how it works. Think about your father for a second. This is the other element of mission that I know to be true. For a mission to be truly a mission, a spiritually guided, divinely guided mission, it must be something that you have utmost personal conviction in. It cannot be something that is given to you without your conviction, out of obligation or fear. It cannot be something that just appears to you out of nowhere. Because if God came to you or to me and said, hey, I want you to make toys for Disney or whatever, I'd be like, nah, I don't want, I'm good. I don't want to do that. But if I had personal conviction in that, I would. So this goes back to your father. Do you think father and mother would have done all the things that they've done in their lives if when Jesus came to father and asked him to take on this mission? Do you think that father would have said yes if he did not have conviction that this is the route I need to go? And so to an extent, he decided, he committed to it. He said, this is the mission of my life and I'm going to make it work. So that's the third thing that I know to be true, is that the mission itself has to be something that we decide. This is where I'm going. And I'm not going to be afraid. I'm not going to second guess myself. I'm going to be open to consideration that maybe I can course correct or change it a little bit as I go. But ultimately, this is the direction I want to go. So the mission, number one, has to be discovered and uncovered over time through making small adjustments as we go. And our conviction level through which we see our mission increases more and more over time. And number two, the mission has to be something that we personally believe in, that is not given to us, but is bestowed like a gift, and we receive it with gratitude and fervent belief that this is where I need to go. And number three, a certain level of just conviction that this is it. I'm going to make this happen, even if I'm not 100% sure that this is what I'm supposed to do with my life, or I want to do with my life. This is what I think it is. I'm just going for it. For me, I'm about 99% sure, if you will, my mission is to teach. And that 1% I'm trying to figure out is exactly what to teach about. How exactly to teach it. Through what format, through what platform, through what frame of thinking do I teach it? I'm still evolving and trying to figure out. But my conviction level through which I see my mission is 95+%. I'm pretty sure my mission here is to teach. And I'm not saying that as like, oh, I know exactly how to teach and I'm the greatest teacher ever. Actually, I'm the first one to tell you guys that I'm very hesitant to teach. I'm very hesitant to turn on a camera and start speaking to the camera, because I often question myself if I actually know what I'm talking about or have something valuable. But when I think about you all who are struggling with this idea of purpose, of identity, of vision and mission, your North Star, And I think about the growth that I've experienced in my life, of knowing exactly what that's like, and at this point in my life, feeling rather confident in my decisions, where I'm going in my life. I feel like maybe I have a perspective or a framework that is worth sharing with you guys. And if it is, thank you for listening. I love you guys. See you in the next video.